Maybe you found yourself looking online or at your local gun store at that busted up Glock Police Trade-In, and you thought to your cheap ass self, maybe I'm gonna buy that, save myself some arrows. Well, today we're gonna find out if those extra dollars you saved was worth that extra mile. Welcome back to GunDoctorT.V. Now this police trading video is brought to you by our friends at GunPrime. I want to give them a huge thanks for sending over this Glock 27 Gen 3 and 40 caliber. Now before we get into the things I want you to think about before making your purchase, let's talk about the G27 we got. Now we've carried this for about 2 months now, and it's been in and out of my EDC. We have shot quite a few rounds through it. And of course, like I do with all handguns, we took it out to 100 yards. This is how the gun performed. Okay, 100 yards out, I have a big old hunk of steel from Challenge Targets. We're gonna take our police trade-in Glock 27 and see if we can get some rounds on target out at 100 yards. This is definitely not the ideal setup, and I am probably going to brick this completely, so this should be good. Or maybe not. I think I went right on that last one. Well, she'll go out to 100. Now here's a few things to consider before purchasing your own bacon bit hand-in. Not all cops shoot a lot. And what I mean by that is the only time they take their gun out is when they do qualifications. And I've seen this firsthand. Now, before you get in the comments saying, hey, I shoot all the time. Cool. You should keep doing that. Most PD trade-ins, despite the finish on the slide, which usually comes from holster wear, a lot of cops, especially these small concealed carry guns, are usually backups or detective's gun. They get home at night, they take it out of the holster, set it on the counter, whatever they do with it, and it gets drawn over and over and over. And leather tends to wear off a finish. So don't let that fool you. Now, another thing to think about. Not all police trade-ins are the same. Some of them might be 10 years old and have seen all these miles on the force, and some of them might be brand new. It all really depends on the department's funding, the availability of funding, and how up to date they keep their equipment. Now, things to actually look for in the gun, and we're going to have a brand new G unit here to compare with the old one. Now, if you're in a physical store, you can take it apart and look at it. And if you can do that, here's some things to look for. High traffic areas. What I mean by that are parts that have contacts with other parts. Moving parts, let's put it that way. A good starting point, if you can just pull the slide back, is the barrel. You're going to see a ring around the top of the barrel and around the bottom of the barrel. And the finish can be removed like it is here. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there have been thousands of rounds through this gun. Another place to look at is the feed ramp. Unless it's been polished, the feed ramp can tell you a lot about how many rounds have went in the barrel. And just look at it. You can look at some older guns. The feed ramp is completely worn. It's got a nice shiny line right up the middle. Or you can look at this new one. Nothing there. The locking block. I'm talking about that big square bit where the breech is on your barrel. Now, if you look at the very tip of that, you can see some worn off edges here on this example. And that's just where the gun's fired, or the action is worked. Basically what you get is the finish wearing off when it makes contact with the inside of the slide. And that brings us to the slide. If you flip the slide over and look inside, you can see a quite worn down path where that barrel has gone back and forth inside of that slide. Now, how good is our police trade-in? This might not pertain to yours, but it will give you a good example. Let's get to the testing. All right, we're going to start with the basic function test. I'm going to put 5 rounds on his cranium. All right, here we go. All right, 5 shots. All right, not my best work. Definitely not my worst. Now, normally there's standing water in this, but there hasn't been a whole lot of rain. It has rained the past couple of days, so the ground is muddy, but it's not soggy like I like it. So I'm gonna walk out here. We're gonna push it down in the mud. I have 5 rounds loaded up, and then we're gonna put 5 rounds on target. We'll see what happens. Honestly, I think the mud out here is a little bit better, so let's take it over here. Yeah, it's nice and wet right here. All right, we'll see how it does. I feel like it's gonna fly out of my hand. That tiny little grip. All right, it loaded around. See what happens. We're gonna go center mass. I cannot see my sights, so I'll blame it on that. It's jumping a lot more. Shot a little high, but then again, I couldn't see my sights. It is nice. I mean, look down in there. It's nice and muddy. No hang-ups. Yeah, check it out. No hang-ups at all. Hey, Mrs. Gun Doctor, do you think you can reach in my pocket? Can you hand me 5 bullets? All right. Now this isn't my normal torture test. Normally I have a lab coat on to make it official, but my production crew, which is myself and my...
I forgot.
This whole thing is just covered in mud. The primer, I couldn't even see the primer because it was just mud in there. All right, locked in. Ooh, got a little bit of a slide drag there. Did you see that? All right, shoot it. Uh-oh. What happened? Light primer strike. I wonder if that's because of the mud. All right. Throw that bad boy back in there. Let's aim for one of those little bullseyes on the side. I missed that completely. As Kentucky weather does, it just came a big thunderstorm. So we had to wait that out. And as you can see, the sun is shining and it's like 80 something degrees. Okay, now the mud has turned pretty much to dirt in most spots. Still got some mud in the magazine. Everything is all gunked up. Now we're gonna take it over. We're gonna play in the sandbox with it and then fire 5 more rounds and see how it does. So we're gonna press her down in this sandy boy right here. Now, normally I do this in dry sand, but we don't have any dry sand. So we're doing wet sand. All right, let's see what she does. She fed. I can feel that grit in there grabbing. It's all muddy down in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Wow. I mean, look at that slide. It's just covered in mud and sand and muck. Mrs. Gun Doctor, you want to shoot it? Nah, she don't want to shoot it. She won't get her hands dirty. I'm sacrificing myself for science, and she won't get her hands dirty. Hey, I'm going to throw 5 more rounds in this, or however many rounds I got in my pocket. I'm going to throw some more rounds in this, just to give it a good test. It's so slow feeling. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it feels slow. Let's go gangster. That was the test. It performed pretty much what I expected. Unless the gun is completely worn down, it's still a Glock. And despite being ugly and terrible triggers and blocky in the hand, they fire. It's just the nature of the business. Hence why police departments and militaries all over the world use the Glock. Now, would I buy a Glock police trade-in? Absolutely. I'd buy a high point that was in a house fire just because, wait, I did that. That's an upcoming video. Be sure to look for that. Anyways, again, thank you to GunPrime. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay free, America. Full beard manly.